started as well as after the discovery of protons, and it was nice because the new applications are connected to Christmas parties, because the American scientists were together with Christmas parties, and the physicists and medical persons were not able to meet like a Lamelis here. They had to go to a Christmas party. Oh, we can consider maybe a Christmas party is not nice, much nicer, but okay. And they have spoken to each other, and it turned out what can be used, what can be the benefit for the patient, and both the uveal melanoma and some type of children tumor irradiation started after a such like Christmas party. And but you can see that still up to 1990 there were no hospital-based proton therapy unit. So all of these children, all of these patients have been treated in large facilities where physicists were mainly working. And you can see the difference of those death curve or dose distribution if we use such like brachytherapy unit. And it is not bad for this tumor. A little bit cataract is endangering this patient, but otherwise it can be applied. But if the tumor is in close proximity to the optic nerve or the fovea, then it will be a problem. The visual acuity will be completely lost. And therefore it became the first indication for proton therapy in a very dedicated preparation. And there were 4 tantal clips. I don't want to put here the very bloody image for you, but I have a huge eye and the tantal clips, how it is sewed. These are like knobs, it looks like. And you can see it on the CT image, and you can follow it during the delivery of the radiotherapy. So the sewing of this tantal clips was only to control the position of the eye, because it was planned by absolutely individual, by shaping the beam for the tumor shape, and using the modulator wheel to enlarge the brachy as it is required from the tumor. So it's like such like servant aperture and modulating individually desired modulating wheels could be used. And of course, for proton therapy, even much more dosimetry should be applied with special devices. And there are simple algorithms of planning the proton therapy. Pencil dose algorithm can be used as well as, but finally, recently already, Monte Carlo calculations are available as well as for the purpose of treatment planning. And in old time, still it was able to calculate as well as, for example, of use of small wedge fields. This is the tumor, these are the tantal clips, this is the eye of the patient. And here is the lens. So both the lens and the nervus opticus, the optic nerve, would be well protected. And the whole delivery is very carefully observed using the video camera, showing the movement of the eye, and the patient is fixating, looking on this small red diode, and this is, for example, this small wedge fielder like this with a very stable thermoplastic mask fixation in sitting, and this is a bind block which is stabilized the whole body structure. And she is looking on this small red light, this diode, and the whole treatment is controlled by a camera and by X-ray. Here is the tumor, for example, and after 3 months, the disappearance of the tumor, and this is the small late effect which can be seen thereafter. So you can see that a lot of work has been done still prior to the first establishment of 90 hospital-based here, the hospital-based facilities, and you can see the increase immediately of the facilities and patients since the establishment of hospital-based facilities, and the facilities became more and more compact and less expensive, but still it is very expensive. And nowadays, more than 150,000 patients are treated worldwide, mainly with protons. The use of carbon ions are less progressive, but it is as well as. And the main application areas I would like to show, of course, it was started with eye tumors, and the paths of the eye tumor prototherapy treatment has already published the first 30 years experiments, experiences, 30 years conclusions that the local recurrence rate was lower, the risk of cataract, the lens density change was lower, and the enucleation had to take place in less frequency. And you can see the difference in dose distribution. So with protons, with 1 beam, you can irradiate this small lesion like this, and the IMRT has a much larger volume, which absorbs still a relevant or at least low doses. The other important application is the CNS tumors, especially if they are located in a neighborhood of critical structures like an optic nerve here and a chiasma here, and the pituitary gland there under. And what is important that you can see that in proton therapy only some 1, 2, maximum 3 fields are used. In opposite, for example, to X-ray IMRT, that you can achieve a quite nice dose distribution by using a lot of fields or rotating arc, which result in low dose absorbance but a very large volume. So the integral dose is quite high, and this bears danger for secondary tumor development, because all of this tissue which receive not very high dose but a certain amount of radiation may cause mutations, and these mutations can manifest after a while in tumor building. So the childhood malignancies, because in the children there are much more sensitive tissues due to the growth of the child. Of course, each tissues are growing and multiplicating, and therefore there are much more cells which are in the multiplication, in the cycle. The medulloblastoma needs an irradiation of the cranial-spinal axis, and it is a very challenging task with conventional radiotherapy, because you have to irradiate the whole brain and the whole spinal cord. And of course, there is no such type machine except the recently used tomotherapy machine, which can include such like large and special fields. And the photons, if we use photons, you can see that here is the target, the spinal cord, and in front of the target there are a lot of organs, liver, small bowel, heart, and so on, which receive still a certain amount of dose, and there is a problem of the field junction. So it is quite difficult in spite of using the intensity modulated or other advanced photon technique, but with protons a very nice distribution could be achieved, which can be really measured as the amount of the different organs which receive less radiation. The head and neck tumors, it is not yet completely established whether which is better or not, but if you see only the dose distribution, you can spare much better the different salivary glands and different risk of organs, especially near to the base of scalp, and it is as published. Lung cancer, if you would like to irradiate a very defined small portion, you can see that again, much better dose distribution can be achieved. The question is whether can you use gating, and can you adapt your radiation to the breathing of the patient. The esophageal cancer, it has been already shown by several publications because it is located in the middle of the thorax, so the proton therapy spare much more organs. The breast cancer, there are two approaches: the chest wall irradiation after amputation of the breast, or partial breast irradiation after conservative surgery. This is, for example, a partial breast irradiation, which gives a better dose distribution, and especially from the point of view of the heart. And there is an artery, left arterial descendants on the heart, which is especially sensitive to the radiation. And we could see from large retrospective evaluations that the radiotherapy is necessary after conservative surgery, or even under certain conditions after mastectomy, but it decreases really the amount of relapse, and it decreases as well as the distal metastatic features, but it increases the heart death after 20 years, so we have to be very careful on the heart dose. And proton therapy can give us a better dose distribution and a better protection from that point of view. The prostate cancer is a classical indication of proton therapy. You can use 2 fields instead of 7 or 9, and much less dose to the healthy tissue. And there were 2 studies where retrospective evaluation had been done from the point of view of the side effects on bladder and rectal side effects, and it has been already significant, it has shown significant differences. And the proton therapy can be applied for special purposes, for functional CNS diseases, which are in very small spots, can be used as well as to treat the Parkinson disease, for example, with very high dose, more than 100 gray, and after test dose, the positron emission detection from the body can confirm, can verify the good position of the patient. So in summary, there is a growing indication of proton and ion therapy. Everything is valid for ion therapy as well as, but additionally, the hypoxic and radio-resistant, the intrinsic radio-resistance having tumors can be considered as well as for ion therapy. And there is a growing number of ion centers recently, and a lot of publication of carbon ion therapy used for different applications. But still, and there is a possibility you can visualize, envision the future of such like facilities with a such like very flexible patient treatment coach, and imaging, PEV imaging possibility, or MRI imaging possibility. And actually there are a lot of clinical studies ongoing to show the higher efficacy or benefit of charged particle therapy. But the fact that today, in spite of the fact that 43 centers are in operation, only less than 1%. Do you remember what was the number of patients who received radiotherapy per year? 10 million in the world. 10 million receive yearly radiotherapy, and only 1% have access to charged particle facility. So it is a very low number, and I have spoken during the last half an hour about the advantages of it, why it is not spread, why we don't use much more this good option for much more patients. On one hand, it is not heavily proven. There is no very high evidence of the benefit for that, but still we can show those distribution advantages. Why we don't use it? Because it is so expensive, yes, because it is so expensive, and therefore there are a lot of efforts to find solutions to get cheaper, more compact facility, and this is one purpose of the laser developers community, to have cost-effective, compact, and flexible. In flexible, I mean that to be able to define the range of proton energy, to maybe to use mixed particles, and the intensity can be as well as defined. So there is an economical aspect. We would like to have proton therapy in a way, more better available for each patient. And there are physical aspects of laser-driven ionizing radiation development to develop different radiation qualities which could be not achieved by the conventional acceleration techniques, like very high energy electrons, or maybe can we produce some microbeams, and microbeam irradiation at cyclotrons has already proven its effectivity to protecting the healthy tissues, to enlarging the therapeutical index, and maybe combined particle beams can be developed. So there are physical research which is needed and to define what kind of laser-driven acceleration can be provided for us, for the users and for the patients, of course. And it is your task in the future. And of course, there are very heavy, very intensive research is needed to find out the biological effectivity of these laser-accelerated possibilities. And in the later part of the day, we will learn about these things. And our small group is working as well as on something like this to reveal the biological, to explore the potential biological effectivity of such laser-driven applications. But at present, we are only preparing to do something in the future, but there are persons who are already applying that and working on that. So we will have the presentations from Dr. Jörg Taverke and Elke Beileiter during this day on that topic. Thank you for your attention. And if there are some questions, I have still
yes,
5
okay.
minutes.
I know that at CERN they are studying anti-proton therapy. Do you know something about this? Because they claim to have...
Fortunately, I have a medical physicist here. Do you know something about the...
Yes, they are investigating, and they do it from a, let me say, more basic research level. And of course, there are some physical, technical rationale for thinking about antiproton therapy, since it also can be used in order to increase the dose selectivity. But really the large effort, investment cost, the large accelerator size for accelerating antiprotons, which are not so easy as for protons, and even more complicated and more expensive than for conventional electron linear accelerators. From my point of view, avoid any clinical application in the future. So, with other words, the benefit, there is some small benefit in comparison to conventional proton and ion therapy, but the costs are much, much higher than conventional proton and ion therapy, and therefore I do not see a chance to develop it for real clinical application.
Yes, I was just wondering which are the benefits, because I don't know.
Yeah, the benefit is the same like for conventional proton therapy, so you have the inverse step dose distribution, where at the end of the particle range you have the increase of the physical dose, the so-called Planck peak maximum. And in addition, since you have antiprotons, if they are slowed down, then they annihilate with protons. So you have antiprotons, protons annihilation, which will add some additional dose effect locally in the near of the Bragg peak region.
Okay.
But annihilation also means there are some high energy secondary radiation, which then again transport the radiation energy far away from the tumor. So this is a disadvantage. So it's only small advantage in total.
Okay, thank you.
And unfortunately, up to now, the real benefit will be not shown at evidence-based level, even not for proton therapy, for conventional proton therapy.
There's another question. I know that there are several projects that want to produce coherent X-ray sources. Okay, I don't know if you
Yeah, for
let us
instance,
access.
But actually,
Could it have, I don't know, the medical consequences of this coherent X-ray, collimated coherent X-ray sources?
I don't want to say very stupid things because I'm not a physicist, but as far as I know,
no, they are not only doing stupid things. So there are two, let's call it applications with coherent X-rays. One is for imaging, diagnostics, and the second one may be with, for radiotherapy. So for imaging, of course, there's a clear benefit of coherent X-rays in comparison to what we have at an X-ray tube, broadband, whatever else. For radiotherapy, there are also investigations, they call it micro slices or micro beam irradiation technique, where the beam spot size is much less than a millimeter, and you increase the dose in this layer, then you have a space without radiation exposure, and then a second layer and a third layer, and so on and so on. And so the idea, which was shown in cellular experiments as well as small animal experiments, is that you have the same tumor response, but you have a reduced normal tissue or side effects with this kind of therapy. But there is a main disadvantage. Up to now, coherent X-rays can be produced with energies, let me say, maximum 100 kilo electron volts. But for radiotherapy, we have seen it, you would like to have MEV or even higher photon energies. And for this, if you would like to generate coherent, high energy MEV X-rays, you need very, very huge accelerators. So in Germany, there is one which is called a kind of, it's not completely right, but let's say in simple words, it's a free electron laser, which is under setting up, they started to prepare the operation. It is a very, very large, many kilometer large accelerator facility, which is set up in Hamburg, which can produce higher energy coherent X-rays, but it's far away from any clinical application.
Thank you.
so I think that this is the